Welcome, welcome. It has been too many moons, my dears. But fear not, for Madame Corvus has a tale tonight for you, of magic most foul, and wonders most curious. In this tent of wonders. So gather round, my dears, and lean in close. You wouldn't want to meet the same grim fate as the lascivious Mr. Wang of tonight's tale, the tale of the painted. Now, once upon a time, in a far-off land they called Taiwan, there lived an older gentleman by the name of Mr. Wang. Now one day, Mr. Wang had taken a break from his work at his studio for a pleasant stroll in the morning sun. But as he walked through the luscious hills, he happened upon a beautiful young lady dressed in the finest of silken gowns, and on her back she was weighed down by a very large bundle. So he said to the young lady, "What might you be doing, taking a stroll at such an early hour of the morning? Do you need any help in carrying that bundle?" The young girl said that he couldn't possibly do anything to ease her burden. But Mr. Wang insisted. And so she said that her parents were struck with greed, and so sold her to a rich gentleman. But this rich gentleman just so happened to already have a wife. And this wife was jealous of the young lady's charm, and so she continued to beat her. The young lady took it upon herself to run away. Now Mr. Wang, he saw this as a pleasant stroke of luck, and he offered most graciously to carry her bundle all the way over to his studio. The young girl accepted his most gracious, gentlemanly offer, and made her way down to his studio, where she told him that she will stay with him on one condition, that he mustn't breathe a word to a single soul of her existence, for her very life depended upon it. And Wang, he swore upon all that was holy that he'd keep his mouth shut. But a few months later, he happened to tell his Lady Chen, his wife, of his act of kindness. But she saw through this immediately, for the disgusting affair that it truly was, and she told him that he must get rid of the young fugitive at once, for he might have come from an influential family, and that would land the Wangs in a whole lot of trouble. But Mr. Wang, did he listen? Oh no, he did not. And a few minutes later, he made his way down to the marketplace, as he did on most days, and there he met a Taoist priest. The Taoist priest was taken aback. "Why, my young man, you are surrounded in an aura most black and wicked." Mr. Wang asked him what he might be referring to. "Why, you have been bewitched, my young son," the Taoist priest informed him. Mr. Wang laughed, for he knew that this was simply a guise to get him to pay for a costly rite of exorcism, and so he made his way back to his studio without a care in the world. But when he happened upon his studio, he found that his front door was locked. Curious, he made his way over the garden wall, and he tried the back door, but try as he might, it would not budge an inch. And so he peered through the window. Now what he saw through that window, my dears, is what made him doubt the Taoist priest no longer. For laid out upon his bed was the pelt of a human, and painting that pelt was a monster most foul. Its skin was the colour of the gunge that one might find on fruit that has been forgotten, and its teeth were like that of a centipede, sharp and venomous, and its eyes, why, they were hideous, and through its rotten green flesh you could see stringy veins pushing a substance dark and foul, that spongy flesh. He leapt up and he ran straight back to the market in search of the Taoist that he had doubted. He looked and he looked everywhere, and eventually he did find the priest in the temple of the Green Emperor. And he fell upon his knees and he begged to be saved, to be rid of this hideous monster once and for all. The priest took out a charm and said that this would get rid of the monster, but he shan't kill the thing. So he handed Wang the charm, and that night Wang did not go anywhere near his studio, but instead slept with his wife, the Lady Chen, and hung the charm just outside their bedroom door. Now, very early in the morning, he heard the floorboards creak, and as he looked outside the door, he saw the beautiful young lady, still wearing her silken finery, staring sharply at that wretched contraption that hung above the door, mocking her, grinding her teeth at it. Now, Wang was somewhat relieved to see that she hadn't stepped a dainty toe over the threshold of his bedroom. But within an instant, that relief was nothing more than dust. For the girl had snatched down the charm and snapped it in two, and she threw it upon the floor as she ground it into the ground with her heel. And before Mr. Wang could so much as take his next breath, she had flung open the door and leapt upon the bed, and she tore open Mr. Wang's chest with her claws most sharp, and then she pulled out his heart and held it throbbing in her hand. The Lady Chen screamed, and in rushed the maid servants to see what the commotion was. Now the next day, Mr. Wang's brother made his way to find that Taoist priest, and he did so in the temple of the Green Emperor. And he went to relay the events of the night before. Horrified, the priest came down to the Wang residence immediately, and there was not a trace of the young fugitive. So the priest turned to Wang's brother and asked who might live in a house to the south. "Why, it is himself," proclaimed the brother. The priest warned him that that was where the monster had headed. Horrified with this information, Wang's brother went back straight home at once, and he asked his wife, and it just so happened that his wife had let in an old lady stranger into the house that very morning. So Wang's brother fetched the priest down to the house, and the priest stood outside the house with his sword and his head held high, and he cried, "Come out, evil one!" And as he cried this, the door flung open, and the old lady came hurtling out, trying to make a bid for freedom. But the priest was quick on his feet, and he drew his sword, and he hit it square, and its skin fell to the ground, and there it lay grunting like a hog most foul. The priest wasted no time in raising his sword above his head and hacking off the foul thing's head. And it was nothing more than swirling, swamping green mist. So the priest took out a gourd and placed it into the smoke. And with a whoosh, all the smoke was sucked up into the gourd, which the priest placed back upon his belt. And then he picked up the foul hide and he examined it. It was impeccable. Every single wrinkle, every single hair, and every single mole was just right. So he rolled up the thing like a scroll, and he placed it into his bag. But as the priest made his way to leave, the Lady Chen threw herself upon the ground and begged with all her heart for the priest to bring back her dear Mr. Wang. But the priest could do no such thing, and he told her so. But she was hysterical. She sobbed, she wailed, and she moaned, and at last the priest told her to seek out the beggar that sleeps upon the dunghill in the marketplace, and he could bring her husband back from the dead. But she must bear every single thing that madman were to say to her. And so the brother of Mr. Wang took her down to the market at that very moment. And there they saw that man, that vile man, begging on the side of the street. A long train of mucus dangling from his nose. It was unthinkable to even go near such a horrific, disgusting man. But the Lady Chen persevered. And so she got down upon her knees in front of the man and begged him to bring back her dear Mr. Wang. The madman laughed. "What do you take me for? The king of hell?" But she was persistent. He laughed and he laughed again. He said, "Why should I bring back that lowly sod, when you can have any man in the world? For you might as well marry me, for I am a true gentleman." The Lady Chen continued. So he took out his stick, and he brought it down hard upon her back. By now, a large crowd had gathered. He brought it down again, and she bore both strikes without a murmur. But now, the madman said, "My, you really do love me. But if you love me so, I ask one thing of you. You prove your love for me." And so he hacked, and he coughed, and up came a glob of congealed flesh, and he brought it up to the Lady Chen, and he said, "Eat." The Lady Chen hesitated, but she remembered the face of her loving husband, and so she swallowed the foul-smelling flesh. The madman laughed a booming laugh that the whole marketplace could hear. "So you really do love me then, ha!" And then he got up to leave, and he sat upon his dung pile, and he would hear no more from Lady Chen. He was ignoring her entirely. Lady Chen was disgusted with herself, so she went home immediately into her husband's darkened room, where she began to prepare his body for burial. She sobbed, and she cried, and she wept, and she cleaned his skin. But as she sobbed, she began to cough, and up came the lump of phlegm before the Lady Chen could do anything. It landed in the center of her husband's chest, where, right before the Lady Chen's eyes, it began. It began to throb, and it began to steam, and it became a heart. The Lady Chen wasted no time in closing her husband's chest and holding it shut with all her might. And then she took up her dress, and she tied it tightly around her husband's chest. And within a moment, colour returned to his skin, and the breath returned to his lungs. His eyes began to open. I was drifting, confused. And that concludes tonight's tale, my dears. I pray you be back soon. But, as told by my dear friend Amanda here, oh my God, simply won't do, Amanda. The night grows dark, and it is your bedtime, and that includes you, Alex Hastings-Smith. So fare ye well, my dears, and keep your eyes to yourselves. You wouldn't want to stumble upon a green monster of your very own now, would you? So sleep tight, unlucky ones, and good night.